And that's why we're spending more money than ever, where it says in Function Health, let's take ownership of your health. Let's own your health. That's not owning your health. That's simply you paying them money so they can own you. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Own It Show. I'm your host, Justin Roethlingshoefer, and today is an episode that you do not want to miss. Quite honestly, this might be one of the most important episodes that I've ever done on this show, and it comes back to this purpose because 4 weeks ago, I took 3 blood tests. I took a Rhythm at-home blood test, the one where you simply pop it into your arm and you twist it and away you go. I took a blood serum test, a similar one that you would do through Function Health or 10X Health or InsideTracker, the same one that we do for the base level testing, and we include it in our Own It testing. And then I also did a cellular micronutrient test, which is our testing that we also include with our base level testing at Own It, and something that we set as the gold standard in understanding what is going on. The reason that I did this was to set the case straight, because I got the blood test done at the exact same time, on the exact same day, for the ones that needed a phlebotomist by the exact same phlebotomist, with the exact same level of fasting, the exact same level of hydration. There was no environmental differences. Everything was the same. But yet, the results were staggeringly different. And that's the problem. Today, I'm going to show you why home tests are garbage. I'm going to show you why serum tests are telling you only what's broken, and why cellular testing is the only way to know what is truly going on inside your body to create true preventative health and how you can own your health. And so that's where we're going today. And so today, after you listen to this episode, I would love it if you just went and left a review. I would love it if you sent this to somebody who you know needs to hear this, because it is going to be something that's educational but also shocking. And when we think about these things, something that should open your minds to what you're actually being told, and not fall for the marketing on Instagram, not fall for the influencers that are pushing all of these other products, and ultimately not listen to the propaganda that continues to be pushed in this area of health and wellness and longevity. Because at the end of the day, health is a commodity. You have to recognize and realize that. And if you're not taking a stand for the truth, you're falling for whatever agenda somebody else has. And I want to help you prevent that. I want to give you the information and empower you in a way that you've never been empowered before. And so I want to set the stage, because I want to set the stage so that you can ultimately see what it is that I went through. So I took 3 tests. The first test was an at-home test, and I used the Rhythm at-home test. Rhythm is very similar to things that you might find with Everlywell, is another brand that is pushed out for at-home testing. But these tests glumped together are ones that you can do at home that do not require a phlebotomist. So a finger prick test, a shoulder prick test, a prick in your leg test, an ear prick test, something that just grabs a little drop of blood that says you put it on a little dipstick, or the one that I had even collected blood. It wasn't just a blood drop, but rather it actually collected blood, and you saw the video that I posted. And here's what it pulled. Firstly, the reason that I utilized it, and I'm going right off of their website, right? So when we think about this, and the only reason that I found out about Rhythm was because it was pushed by an influencer that has over 1 million followers on Instagram. He's a big health and wellness guy. And if you know my opinion based on the new agey health and wellness stuff, is it's not what it's truly cracked up to be, because it doesn't necessarily have your best interest in mind. And this is not about trends, but it's about healing is what we're really looking for. And the world is pushing trends everywhere. But if you go to Rhythm's website, and you go to Everlywell's website, and you go to some of these other finger prick test websites, the biggest thing they're saying is that you can get a comprehensive at-home test that gives you actionable results in days, and they push it here at all for just $79. That's on Rhythm's test. FDA cleared, CAP accredited, HIPAA compliant, all of these certifications that they're talking about. But yet when you actually go into it and you get your results back from them, their comprehensive panel consists of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 different blood markers, specifically looking at thyroid stimulating hormone, total testosterone, estrogen, ferritin, albumin, C-reactive proteins, vitamin D, cholesterols, and then free testosterone. So those are pretty much what they're looking at. By no means is that a comprehensive list. By no means is that an exhaustive list. And by no means does that tell a complete story or even close to a complete story. Now, here's where it gets really funny, was because not only do they market as an all-in-one comprehensive at-home test for just $79 a month, and you can redo this every single month, but they then have a bunch of different add-ons, okay? Add-ons. And when you go and you look at a comprehensive micronutrient add-on, thinking comprehensive micronutrient, we're going to talk about this in the cellular micronutrient here in a second. This comprehensive micronutrient test, it focuses on two essential minerals, zinc and magnesium. Zinc and magnesium are two of 137 key vitamins, minerals, amino acids that do everything in the body. So basically you're telling me, let's look at less than 1% of all of these, and that's your comprehensive panel. So this is why not all blood testing is created equal. You have to get this through our minds and realize that we're being sold to not with our best interest in mind. Then you go through this. You can literally add all of these on. You can go an advanced thyroid panel. You can go a comprehensive thyroid panel. That's $80. The advanced thyroid panel is $102. The comprehensive cholesterol panel is $40. The two micronutrients we just talked about, $77. The anemia test, $80. The advanced insulin resistance test, which is looking at HbA1c, fasting insulin, fasting glucose, and uric acid, all which happen in our next test for $110. So you can start to imagine, while going with something like this, it just slowly starts to add up even before you actually get anything of any type of quality. And when I actually started to add up, if you were to go and do something through this test and actually get something that was equivalent to what we were looking at in the blood serum panel, you were closer to $1,000. And that wasn't even near where and that doesn't even start to get close to the problems that I actually started to see when I pulled this test apart and started to dive in. So that was number one. That was the rhythm test that I had. And before I go into the results there, I want to go in because I want to compare directly to the serum. Now, when we think about a blood serum testing, this is the blood testing that is traditional, but there's major differences amongst all of them, okay? Because again, when we go into this, I'm going to pull up, again, from the websites, the two biggest ones that you might know from blood serum testing. Well, there's probably three. There is Function Health by Dr. Meyer Kaiman. There is InsideTracker. There is 10x Health, which has, again, been all over the place because of Gary Brecka. And then the fourth one is just from your routine doctor checks. And what these are going to look at, they're probably blood serum tests you've done in the past, is a complete metabolic profile, a complete blood count, and maybe a lipid or a cardiovascular panel. And what ends up happening here is you end up stepping in, and I'm just going to go, again, directly to the Function Health website. Well, basically what the Function Health website does is they market this as you can own your health. They literally take what own it stands for. Own your health. Every year, start with 100 plus lab tests and insights from top doctors, all for just $4.99. Well, here's what they actually don't tell you, is that you start with 100 biomarkers, but then you go down to your 60 biomarkers on your second test, still for that $4.99. And the concept of like, why are we dropping? If we're looking at 100 to start, why are we dropping to the 60 for the second? Because it's cheaper for them. And they're eliminating very key items. And so when I actually took a step deeper and you go into their what's included area on their website, you step in and it goes down and it says, okay, let's take a look here. 100 plus biomarkers. Well, if you actually go in, it says heart. Okay, let's see what comes up in the heart. Apolipoprotein C1. Well, that actually just doesn't come in a standard one. That's an add-on. You have to pay for that again. Alipoprotein C2. AP-a. Like we've talked about before. You may have heard this from Peter Attia. These are all add-ons. All add-ons. It's all going to cost you something else to get these put in. Then you go to your thyroid and TS8, thyroid stimulating immunoglobulin. Okay? Really important to know how that thyroid's operating. Iodine, really important. Selenium, which is, again, a true measure of a cellular micronutrient, a cellular vitamin that's necessary. A cellular mineral that's necessary. all add-ons. You go into a cancer detection. Well, multi-cancer detection test. That's an add-on. You just don't get that. You go into your autoimmunity. Well, in the autoimmunity area, there's 24 things that are measured under autoimmunity. 4 of them are included. 20 of them are add-ons in order to get anywhere. And so when we start to look at the way that Function Health has done this, it is going to be your standard blood test that you get from any other doctor that is just simply pouring this information in front of you and not actually giving you the information that's necessary. All for $4.99, and even in your second follow-up test, you don't get the information you need. Now when we go to InsideTracker, seemingly those exact same tests are $761 for 2 blood tests a year. But guess what? It's actually not even 100, it's only 60 biomarkers. It's only 60 biomarkers. And so even though Function gives you additional 40 to start, you're still going down to the 60 on your second test, and still we're not getting the information necessary. And then when you go to 10x Health, they do even less than that at 45. And so we look at this and we start to ask the question, why? Because remember, we're going to now compare Rhythm, who is just doing a simple blood spattering or a drop of blood from our body, to now something that's actually pulled from the vein. So when I went and did my test, I hooked up the Rhythm marker to my shoulder while I had the blood draw in my vein. So it's literally being done in the same arm at the same time from the same site. Theoretically, we should get the exact same results. But here's the crazy thing. We didn't. Not even close. So here's what we ended up seeing. I'm going to read these out. The LDL reading from my body from Rhythm was 76.6, which was moderately high to close to high. Versus from my serum, it was 63, which is optimal. Okay? Secondly, we saw my HDL with Rhythm being 68 and my serum level being 63. So if we just go serially there for a moment, actually I'm going to go to my triglycerides as well. My triglycerides being at Rhythm were 57, which in my serum was 70, and ideally we're less than 90. And so when we see these differentiations, you might at first think, oh, it's really not that big of a deal. But if we're actually looking for accuracy, we're not getting accuracy from Rhythm. We're getting garbage input in, and thus not going to actually make the right recommendations, not actually going to make the right choices. Here's the other aspect. When we took a look at my testosterone, my total testosterone on Rhythm was 1034, which looks extremely strong, top of range, right? It's like, oh my goodness, that's incredible. That's extremely high. And it appears fine based on their calculation, but ultimately might be skewed. The second thing it looked at was something called SHBG, which stands for sex hormone binding globulin, which is a protein made by the liver that binds and transports sex hormones like testosterone and estrogen through your body. So ideally, you want something that is higher, right? Well, my SHBG, which for them was an estimation, it's done through an algorithm, was high, but again, might actually be skewed, because when you go into my serum test, my total testosterone was actually 681. Still very high, still adequate, still great, but almost half of what it was with Rhythm. And then you go to my free testosterone, which is 80, and that is incredibly great because it means that it's able to start carrying testosterone throughout my body. And because of, if I don't have any micronutrient deficiencies, it's actually being produced adequately. And so the issue is that Rhythm said I was at 1034, where my serum said I was at 681. Nearly a 350 point discrepancy on the exact same morning, at the exact same moment, by the exact same time. Not just a little difference, but like that's a total different clinical picture. That's like 2 very different people. And again, gold standard is from the vein. So what are we actually getting from this at-home test? The next one was my thyroid, my free T3. It came in at 276, which is on the low end, okay? Extreme, it's showing low, meaning or suggesting a sluggish metabolism, where my serum panel was 3.3, which was, it's not quite optimal, but it is showing that it's like, it's in the higher normal range. And so if I just got this one test by Rhythm, it would have me believing that I was borderline hypothyroidism. And I would start to find all these reasons as to why I'm not feeling well. And thus I should actually go and look at taking certain supplements for my hypothyroidism, and maybe even start to get on a pharmaceutical because of my hypothyroidism, and having me start changing my mental state because I have hypothyroidism. And thus I'm now labeling myself with something that I don't actually even have. And then we go into this vitamin D area. Well, my Rhythm at home vitamin D test showed that I have 61, a level of 61, where my serum function was only at 49. Well, here's the crazy part, and we're going to get to this one in a second, because if we're talking about cellular deficiencies, remember, cellular deficiencies is what is our body able to functionally use versus what is it the actual deficiency at. Rhythm shows that I have a optimal level of vitamin D in my blood. The serum shows that I have a low amount of vitamin D in my blood. A 12-point swing. It's enough, again, to dictate whether a provider would tell you to take a high-dose vitamin D supplementation or a low-dose, regular dose of vitamin D supplementation. And we're going to get back to that in a second when we talk about our cellular testing. And then the third one, I'll do two more, that shows just this amazing difference in such a terrible, terrible way, is Rhythm gave me an LDL of 86, but my serum gave me an LDL of 122. My total cholesterol in Rhythm was 159, or my total cholesterol in serum was 181. My LDL went from 86 to 122, and again, that's the difference of being considered optimal versus being flagged for borderline high. And we have to sit back and go, what is happening? What is going on? Because if you have garbage information in, you have garbage information out. And this last one I'm going to give you is HSCRP, which is the measure of inflammation in my body. Rhythm gave me a score of 0.8, and my blood serum panel came back at 0.16. Well, 0.8 shows that there is a moderate risk of inflammation in my body, where you might want to actually start taking you could get prescribed something. You could take supplementation for it. But my serum shows that I have absolutely no inflammation in my body, that my muscles aren't inflamed, that my C-reactive proteins aren't high, that I'm supplementing really well, and thus it's keeping me low on the low side already. And so these are the things we have to know. This is why your home test that does a finger prick, that does any of these little blood simple draws that you do on your own are garbage. They don't actually measure anything, and it's just a money grab, and it's crap in, crap out. And the gold standard of being able to draw something from your blood is still the blood serum test. Now here's where we come into the third test that I did, which was the cellular micronutrient testing. And here's why this is so critical. And we're going to use this vitamin D example as the gold standard, because when I come back to this, and I did my cellular micronutrient testing, what cellular micronutrient testing looks at is it looks at 23 cellular vitamins, it looks at 16 cellular minerals, and it looks at 28 cellular amino acids, all of which are critical and are used to produce every single thing in the body. It's producing hormones, it's producing muscle synthesis, it's producing the use and production of energy, it's helping you sleep deeper, it's doing everything. That's the basis, and that's the importance of vitamins, minerals, amino acids. They create everything in the body, which is why it matters. And then it also looks at 14 other upregulating enzymes and cofactors that help you get a product from the serum into the cell for the body to use. And so when we think about this, the reason that this is so critical and important is because when I look at my vitamin D levels from my Rhythm test, which showed that they were optimal, then you go to my serum panel and show that they were low, but then you go into my cellular panel and show that they are literally off the charts optimal, meaning that my body's using vitamin D extremely well, my body is optimizing vitamin D extremely well, it's upregulating vitamin D extremely well, thus it's sharing vitamin D extremely well with the rest of my vitamins and minerals that are needed within the cell. The supplementation that I'm on is actually working. And what happens is we get sold this bill of goods through the blood serum test that says, oh, you're low in vitamin D, thus you need to get on a higher dose vitamin D. And it starts taxing the kidneys. It actually starts providing just this really expensive pee. And you get put on supplementation that you actually didn't need because you're already optimized at the cellular level because of what you're doing. But because you don't know and you're going off of your serum is only gold standard for what is broken in your body. It is only good at indicating, hey, you have a liver issue. Hey, you have a kidney issue. Hey, you have a hormonal issue. But it detects what's wrong. It doesn't tell us why. And the cellular testing tells us why. And if you don't do your cellular micronutrient testing, you're again just guessing, because your cellular micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, and amino acids, are responsible for every single process that happens in the body. Anything that could show up in a blood serum test can be explained in a cellular panel. And that is why they have to be paired together. This is why they have to be mirrored together. When you go into Function Health, they don't even offer it. When you go into InsideTracker, they don't even offer it. But yet they're making these massive conclusions based off of anecdotal studies and high-level creative algorithms to tell you how to live, what habits to change, and what supplements to take. Which is why so many of you are taking supplements that you don't actually know if they're working or not. If you are actually giving yourself and your body what it needs, you should notice an immediate impact and influence in mental clarity, in ability to sleep, in how you feel, in your energy, in the weight in which you carry and the way in which it's distributed, the way in which your body is able to start processing different types of foods, different types of meals, different types of water and hydrating products. That is how your body should be operating. And this is why we are stuck in this cycle, because we are told that, hey, go and do a Function Health test, and this is now all you need to do, and you're doing it best. Or go do this InsideTracker test or 10X, and you think you're getting the blood testing you need, but you're missing more than 50% of what's there, because you know, and you're looking at what's broken, and maybe nothing's broken, but that doesn't mean that everything is right. And that's what cellular testing allows us to do, is seeing what we're missing and ultimately what is not there. Which is why blood serum testing, which is best in class and been tested on for the longest period of time to diagnose, needs to be paired with the cellular micronutrient testing for what we can do from a preventable standpoint, from a proactive standpoint, from a vitamins and minerals and amino acid standpoint, because those are the foundational building blocks, the base of the pyramid for what is actually operating internally inside of our body. You should go listen to my podcast that I did a couple weeks ago, and what it talked about was all about the foundation and why peptides and hormones and why peptides and hormone therapies are putting us down the wrong direction, because all we're doing is blood serum testing. And that's what this health and wellness industry, and I use air quotes, is selling us on. They're selling it as a commodity, not as an adequate solution, not as a true holistically integrated solution. And that's why we're spending more money than ever, we're sicker than ever, and we actually aren't seeing the changes that are necessary. And where it says in Function Health, let's take ownership of your health, let's own your health, that's not owning your health. That's simply you paying them money so they can own you. We want to help you own your health. We want to give you the true understanding of, hey, what is broken? And if nothing is broken, is everything right? And how do we ultimately get to that place? And the only way to do that is to get into the blood serum testing in combination with the cellular micronutrient testing. When you pair these two things together, you can start to put the building blocks in place. You can start to see the correlations. You can start to see why certain things are happening. Because if you are cellularly deficient in vitamin D, it's not just taking a vitamin T tab or a vitamin D tab that's going to help you. It's ultimately noticing that, hey, calcium is going to be impacted. Hey, vitamin C is going to be impacted. Hey, you're going to have magnesium, boron, copper, iodine, and zinc impacted, because these are all upregulators, cofactors, and ultimately vitamins and minerals that work in concert with vitamin D. And so when we don't have the things, when we don't have the playbook of what we're actually missing, we end up in a bad place. And so I want to give you access to get this done. And if you go to ownittesting.com, you're going to be able to get your cellular health panel there. So whether you've done InsideTracker, 10X Health, or Function Health or not, you're going to want to do your cellular health testing. Because if you've done InsideTracker and you have this information, it's going to pair beautifully to help give you that next level information. If you've done Function, it's going to pair beautifully. And if you haven't, we're going to be able to give you an opportunity to do both as well, just so you can take a better step. But go to ownittesting.com and then use the code HEALTH2025 so that you literally get it at our cost. And we'll send out the cellular kit to you. We'll send a phlebotomist to your home. We'll get that draw done. And then unlike Function Health, InsideTracker, 10X, and all of these other companies, we're not just going to send you a PDF. We're actually going to get on a call with you, with a member of our health team, so that they can walk you through everything and draw the correlations for you and get to know who you are and what your lifestyle's like, so that we're not just putting you through an algorithm, but we're rather giving you the information necessary so that you don't end up doing something foolish, and you don't end up doing something that seems good on paper, but in practical application doesn't even apply to you. That is why at-home tests are garbage. That's why serum tests only tell us what's broken. And that's why cellular testing is required to truly understand how we get to the depths of what's going on inside of our cells so we can be truly proactive, truly preventable, and truly take ownership of our health and realize life differently. And so when I look back at this, I think what is hard for me is I've had thousands of conversations by now from people going, well, what's the difference between serum testing and cellular testing? I've already done I've already done my blood testing through my doctor. I've already done my blood testing through one of those companies I've already mentioned. Why do I need to do the cellular testing? Why is it going to benefit me? What's it going to help me do? This is what it's going to help you do. It's going to help you so that we can ultimately get you to a place that your body is able to truly get healed. Because without knowing what's going on, you actually can't take personalized action. It's just a guess. And the sad part is that Function Health and 10X Health, and InsideTracker for that matter, have a quote unquote customized supplementation program. Well, you can't customize supplementation if you don't know what the cells actually need. And so what they're actually doing is doing something based off of an algorithm. They're doing something based off of an equation. They're doing something based off of subjective tests that have been done and thus put all together to create their best guess as to what you need. And this is why what ends up happening is you get a best guess solution that you're paying for with real money that doesn't actually get you the best results. And this is why when you custom compound, when you custom formulate, when you create something that is unique to you based off of cellular testing and cellular deficiencies, it's impossible that you don't start feeling better. It's impossible that you don't start getting more mentally clear. It's impossible you don't start sleeping better. It's impossible that you don't start getting long-term health positive effects. And when you redo your cellular testing every 3 to 6 months, you notice that the deficiencies you had are going away, and maybe some other ones are popping up because of higher degrees of stress or certain seasons in your life that have come around, or certain diseases that you've been exposed to, or maybe certain colds or flus that you've been exposed to, or maybe you've been on more planes, or maybe you've got a child that's bringing a bunch of things into the household, or maybe you're just in a season where you're training a lot more, and thus it's a greater pull on your cellular micronutrients on your body, and thus you're depleting them in ways that you didn't before. And so we get to be aware of that, and we get to change it. This is why this matters, and I'm really hoping that this was a clear painted picture for you guys of at-home tests, no matter what influencer is pushing them, are garbage, and they're doing them simply for clicks and ways to get easy dollars back into their pocket, or they have an investment in it somehow. Serum testing is best in class only for disease detection and telling you what is broken so that ultimately the traditional medical system can fix it. This is still important to do, but you cannot provide customized supplementation off this. You cannot provide a personalized solution off of this from a nutrition or a supplementation standpoint. It is only when you go to the cellular micronutrient testing, the cellular level, cellular micronutrient testing, that you can truly get personalized, proactive, both on the supplement side, both on the lifestyle side, and both on the diet side. You have to go to that level if you truly want to get customized supplementation, if you truly want to get personalized solutions for lifestyle, habit, and behavior change. Everything else is simply a guess based off of algorithms and other agendas. And the last thing I'll say in this is that you cannot create custom supplementation off of genetic testing either, because genetic testing just tells you what you're predisposed to. It doesn't tell you what's actually happening. Your genes load the gun, but your habits, behaviors, and lifestyle pull the trigger, and the only thing that shows you what's caused in the trigger pull is that cellular micronutrient test at the cellular level and the serum test as if something is broken. This is what we have to get back to. Understand this wholeheartedly. This is the journey that we're on. This is the place that we're at. Unfortunately, the health and wellness space has become a commodity. It's something that can be marketed, something that can be, a lot of money can be made. And that's what we start to see is people trying to buck the system. And in their mind, they're thinking if we can provide a lower cost solution for people, we can ultimately get more people tested and reach more people. But really all it's doing is it's giving them crappy information that's having them spend hard-earned money on a solution that isn't actually helping them, and creating more confusion for everybody else who would actually want to go do a serum test and a cellular test paired together. Because when you pair the two together and you now have somebody to help articulate and guide you through what's actually going on, you can create real change and real transformation that you don't just rent, that you don't just have for a small period of time, but rather that you own and is here forever. And that's why this matters. It matters to me because that's the standard that we set. Best in class of truth telling, best in class of standards and best of class of experience so that we can get best in class results at Own It. And that is why I do this. And that is why I'm willing to come on here and take all the backlash that comes this way. Because at the end of the day, truth is all that matters. And truth is the only thing that creates transformation. Every other good teaching is simply transactional. And that's what we stand for. So if you feel if you feel convicted through this, I really encourage you, go to ownittesting.com, use the code HEALTH2025 to get your cellular testing done so that we can look under the hood and understand what's actually going on, understand what's actually occurring, understand what you have going on so that even though nothing's broken, we can find out what just isn't right. It's only a matter of time that because of those deficiencies, it will ultimately create something that will go wrong. It's like driving your car and only taking it in to get a tune-up when the check engine light comes on. There's now something wrong with your engine and it's going to cost you more to get it fixed. Instead of actually going in to getting a maintenance routine change, going, oh, you know what, this belt is going to break here pretty soon. Let's change it before your check engine light comes on. It's a difference between a serum test and a cellular test, which is why they both have to come together. You would never drive around with your dashboard completely blacked out. You want to be able to see what lights are coming on if something's broken that you are unaware of. But you're still always going to go get your quarterly maintenance on your car to see under the hood if anything else is actually needing to go on that could cause something on your dash to come on. And that's why your car stays well. That's why your car runs. That's why you operate so well. It's the same with you. So ownittesting.com. Use the code HEALTH2025 to get that cellular test so that we can start you on a journey to really taking ownership of your health. And I hope today helped to convict you that, hey, don't just follow for what everybody else is saying, but that your at-home blood tests are garbage, that your serum tests are necessary but only tell you what's broken, and it's your cellular testing that truly allows you to be proactive and preventable in your health so that you can take ownership of your health. And this is the way that you start to live different. And we know that different wins. We know that success is different. And that's where Own It comes in. So own your different. I'll see you guys next week.